right now at 6, Iran strikes back at Israel for its attack on the nation's nuclear sites. Iranian Americans in the Bay Area now speaking out.
They're destroying lives. And in the meanwhile, while they're hitting heads of a government, innocent people are killed.
This evening, mixed emotions about what's happening in Iran and their fear for loved ones. Plus, Bay Area businesses boarding up with thousands of people expected to protest in a nationwide day of action.
Not everybody agrees with this, the way this country is going.
How organizers and law enforcement are hoping to keep the peace. And what do you do when a landmark starts to crumble?
It's amazing that it's still here, and we want to fight to keep it here.
The uncertain future for a controversial fountain. And later.
And of course, everything again is bigger here, so we have the jumbo turkey leg.
It's time for fried food and farm animals. The gates are open at the Alameda County Fair.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us at 6. The conflict between Israel and Iran intensifying right now. Iran has hit Israel with a second wave of missiles in retaliation over Israel's attack on its nuclear program. Warning sirens sounded across Israel and Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as Iran fired dozens of ballistic missiles and a second round just a few hours later. And tonight, Iranian media is reporting a fire at Tehran's airport. Israel launched its attacks targeting the heart of Iran's nuclear and military facilities. Now, this video from Tel Aviv showing Israel's air defense taking out strikes from Iran. The White House says the U.S. helped intercept the missiles, though some still made it to the ground. And then here's a close-up look at the damage. You can see the fire burning in that building with emergency crews on the ground. Israeli paramedic services say at least 34 people were hurt in this attack, including a woman who was trapped under rubble. And we are getting a firsthand account from Tel Aviv. Dr. Avner Cohen is a professor from Monterey and a global fellow studying nuclear proliferation at the Woodrow Wilson Center. He landed in Tel Aviv yesterday. We talked to him minutes after he left a bomb shelter.
We heard some of the bombing, some of the fallings of those missiles. The mood at the shelter was calm, reasonably confident, friendly. There was one tiny moment of a little panic of somebody, but as a whole, it was nice.
Professor Cohen told us Iran's main nuclear facility is largely underground. He suspects Iran had moved its enriched materials to a hidden location in the country. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says so far Israeli warplanes struck more than 100 targets, killing leading nuclear scientists and at least 3 top Iranian generals.
In the past 24 hours, we've taken out top military commanders, senior nuclear scientists, the Islamic regime's most significant enrichment facility, and a large portion of its ballistic missile arsenal. More is on the way. The regime doesn't know what hit them. They don't know what will hit them.
Iran's UN ambassador told the Security Council 78 people were killed and 320 were hurt in the bombings. He said most of the people killed were civilians, including women and children. We haven't heard from President Trump on today's strikes, but CBS has confirmed he met with his national security team at the White House today. Meantime, Iranian Americans here in the Bay Area are watching the developments overseas. As Len Ramirez reports, the conflict has struck an emotional chord with the community as they fear for their homeland and loved ones.
Cleaning my brushes.
Many in San Jose's Iranian American community fled their country decades ago, seeking freedom and safety in the U.S.
I get all choked up. It's hard.
One of them is hair salon owner Nushi Nayak, who's been watching the missile attacks in Tehran and Tel Aviv with sadness.
People are suffering, and this is not right. And because of crazy men wanting to stay in power and be greedy about power, they're destroying lives.
Nushi came to America as a college student in the 1970s. She was here when the Islamic Revolution upended life in Iran, and she never returned.
I grew up there. That's That's my home, motherland, and they're good people. There are a lot of good people that live there.
At the Pars Community Center, which provides social and legal services to the Iranian American community, we also met Sam, who asked not to show his face or use his full identity out of concern for family members still living in Iran.
Most of my family is there. I worried about them.
Sam, like many Iranian Americans, lives a painful duality, fearing for loved ones while also harboring deep resentment toward the regime that forced them to leave their homeland.
What I see on the media or Instagram, Facebook, I see the people are happy. The majority of the people happy. We are not happy that Iran is attacked, but we are happy those people is removed from our country.
Although both Sam and Nushi want to see political change in Iran, they have different views on what's happening.
I don't believe a foreign government should come and liberate us. We don't need liberation. Liberation has to come from within.
And as tensions continue to rise in the region, voices like Nushi's and Sam's speak to the human cost of war. For now, they wait, they worry, and they hope for peace.
We will be following the developments out of the Middle East all night. You can watch the latest on air and on our website, kpix.com. Clashing demonstrations expected across the country tomorrow as the Trump administration gets set for its multi-million-dollar military parade. At the same time, protesters plan to counter it with no King's Day rallies tomorrow. Dozens of demonstrations against the Trump administration are expected nationwide, as well as here in the Bay Area. Our Kevin Coe is live in San Francisco. He spoke with organizers ahead of tomorrow's protests. What are they saying, Kevin?
Well, Jules, as you know, we've had quite a few protests across San Francisco this week, all focused on protecting immigration rights. Now, it all leads up to the big one here at Civic Center Plaza tomorrow, no King's Day specifically. However, we've seen some of these protests get out of hand, and organizers are hoping nothing tomorrow takes away from their message.
For Harrison Crenshaw, it's simple.
You know, if you say nothing, then nothing's going to happen.
He'll be back here at Dolores Park tomorrow for the No King's Day protest, one of 50 planned in the Bay Area and about 2,000 nationwide. It comes on the same day as a massive military parade in D.C., which is also Flag Day and President Trump's birthday.
To have that kind of contrast or dichotomy tells you that we're really not on the same page as a country. I just want to participate in the representation that, not everybody agrees with this, the way this country is going, the way it's being made great again in any way.
Trump fancies himself a king and he behaves like a would-be dictator.
Peter Hosey with Indivisible SF says organizers are taking precautions after more than 200 demonstrators were arrested when anti-ICE protests turned violent earlier in the week.
We're telling our attendees that, if you see any violence or any crime, keep moving, move away from it. Don't let that be part of our event.
San Francisco city leaders are making their own preparations, with the city planning to activate its Emergency Operations Center Saturday and calling in additional law enforcement resources. They say the goal is to protect free speech while having zero tolerance for violence.
When you peacefully protest, it strengthens our democracy and lets the world know what San Francisco stands for and what San Francisco won't stand for.
We are prepared, we are coordinated, and we are ready to respond to any scenario. Officers will be mobile with additional dedicated patrols.
That mobility and coordination could be seen during Monday's protest in the Mission District. SFPD and Sheriff's Office vans were seen trailing protesters as they marched down Mission Street. CHP was also positioned near the on and off ramps at Highway 101. In the meantime, some businesses aren't taking chances. Luxury stores like Dior and big brands like Nike have been boarding up their stores in Union Square.
I think people are scared and they're seeing scary footage out of Los Angeles, and we want people to know that when they come to one of our events, what we're going to be doing is a nonviolent demonstration. Our thing is not doing violence.
Now, Jules, organizers also tell me they will have volunteers on the ground who are actually trained to defuse and de-escalate any situation that may look like it's getting out of hand. On the other hand, Mayor Daniel Lurie says he will be spending tomorrow in the city's Emergency Operations Center just in case.
All right, understood. Kevin Coe. Kevin, thank you. We'll be keeping an eye on the planned protests across the Bay Area and around the country. We'll bring you live coverage tomorrow starting at noon, streaming on KPIX.com and the free CBS News app. The marches and protests tomorrow come after a week of anti-ICE protests in Los Angeles. President Trump sent in the National Guard to protect ICE agents. California sued, claiming he overstepped his authority. A U.S. district judge in San Francisco sided with California yesterday, directing the Trump administration to return control of the Guard to the state. But not long after, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals halted that decision with a hearing set for Tuesday. That means National Guard was out in Los Angeles again today at a federal building. And they were joined by 200 Marines. They have been stationed at the Wilshire Federal Building. It's about 14 miles west of where the city has issued the curfew for the ongoing protests. Now, back here in the Bay Area, the FBI is searching for more persons of interest after federal officers were attacked at a protest outside a Concord immigration court. So today, the agency released these photos of two additional persons of interest. So take a look. The alleged attack happening on Tuesday as federal agents attempted to take a man into custody. Meanwhile, the agency is offering a $25,000 reward to help find a woman who allegedly attacked an officer. Shame! Shame! And you can see the woman there in the pink beanie. She seems to shove her way into agents who were escorting someone out of court and into an SUV. The same woman also stood in front of the car trying to block it. After that, a woman dressed in the same clothes but without the beanie was spotted hitting an agent. Still ahead here at 6, a San Francisco renovation project could mean the end of the large Valancourt fountain on Embarcadero. Why some people say it needs to be saved.
When you destroy art, you deprive the audience, the public, of being challenged. Yes, this is a very challenging work of art. This is dynamic.
And later, it's all about the rides, the farm animals, and of course, the fried food. There you go. What you can expect from the Alameda County Fair. Former Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes is seeking a reduction in her 11-year prison sentence. The Bay Area News Group reports Holmes is arguing her good behavior in prison and lack of a previous nonviolent record should qualify her for a sentence reduction of more than 2 years. Holmes was convicted back in 2022 for defrauding investors out of hundreds of millions of dollars and lying about her biotech company's blood testing technology. Right now, she is scheduled for release by early 2032. So the fate of a controversial fountain in San Francisco is up in the air. Some want to see the fountain at the Embarcadero Plaza torn down, while others are looking to preserve the historic gathering place. But now, city workers have begun fencing off the fountain, citing safety concerns. Kenny Choi shows us how some are rallying to save what they call the Mecca of skateboarding.
To some, it's an eyesore, concrete blocks jutting in every direction. To others, like Ted Barrow, it's a masterpiece.
This is incredible. There's no other fountain anywhere in the world that looks like this.
Barrow can't ride these days because of an injury, but speaks intimately of what he sees as an iconic landmark for the sport. Each chip on the brick plaza has a story.
All of these thousands of pockmarks come from the side of a skateboard.
The Valancourt Fountain has been a gathering space for activists, artists, and more at the Embarcadero Plaza since 1971. City workers began fencing off the area this week. With redevelopment plans threatening its future, advocates from preservation communities are coming together.
It's amazing that it's still here, and we want to fight to keep it here.
It'd be a shame to lose it because it's got so much history.
A new report commissioned by the city concluded the structure contains asbestos and lead, and that its crumbling condition is a public safety issue. Tamara Apperton is a spokesperson for San Francisco Recreation and Parks.
The structure is unstable, hazardous materials are present, and we just can't allow public access to a space that poses safety risks.
Designed by artist Armand Valancourt, the fountain was meant to challenge convention. Barrow is not just a late 40s skateboarder reminiscing and trying to hold on to the past. He also has a PhD in art history.
We as a people suffer. You know, when you destroy art, you deprive the audience, the public, of being challenged. Yes, this is a very challenging work of art. This is dynamic, it's gruff, it's unapologetic.
As city planners' eye changes to the plaza, supporters fear its days may be numbered.
As a skateboarder, you know, a big part of like what I love about San Francisco will be deeply changed if this is gone.
For now, they'll keep riding and hoping this part of their history is preserved.
The city of San Francisco is still in the design phase of the renovation project at the Embarcadero Plaza. It's expected to cost somewhere between $15 and $20 million of public funds.
After a chilly first half of the week, temperatures yesterday returned to closer to normal, and today we had our typical mix of 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s across the Bay Area. No 90s, at least not yet, but there are some in the extended forecast. Details coming up at First Alert Weather.
Okay, so if you're looking for a fun way for the family to kick off the start of summer, the Alameda County Fair is back with a special fireworks show tonight. At the Alameda County Fairgrounds in Pleasanton, you'll find all the traditional attractions, a petting zoo, fair rides, musical performances, a little bit of something for everyone. The fair is also debuting the King Double XL ride, where guests are flying 45 feet off the ground. And when it's time to eat your fill, there are some pretty unique options that are new this year.
This is where you get creative with the food. So you can try a Cajun octopus on a stick. Yes, that is something. I did taste the cheeseburger egg roll, and it is good. Cheeseburger egg roll. Then there's bacon pickle pizza. These are just some new things at the fair that you can try.
And then go on the roller coaster, right?
Yeah, Double King XL.
Yeah, this morning our Veronica Macias got to try some classic fair favorites, including funnel cake, of course, lucky her. The fair is open for the next 3 weeks from noon until 11 p.m. Always the sign of summer when the Alameda County Fair
And we
kicks
know,
off.
as the queen of Pleasanton, you will be out there.
I'll be out there. I go way back. I used to show my rabbits in the 4-H fair. Little Kringle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does your horse make an appearance at the fair?
No, Lucky did not make an appearance. Let's see. At the start, when there was a cattle drive one year, she got to go down Main Street. But it was really fun. But anyway, it's a great time. Lots of food, and I love the cover bands
And
they
it
have.
can be incredibly hot in Pleasanton this time of year. That's not going to be a problem this weekend.
Okay,
so
good
good
point.
weather. Let's start with the
Yeah.
forecast for the Alameda County Fair in Pleasanton, Jules' backyard. Not literally, but close. Temperatures are going to be in the mid-70s for highs tomorrow, upper 70s on Sunday. Can't ask for better weather this time of year. Of course, since it runs for several weeks, odds are there's going to be some heat eventually, and we're actually going to get a little taste of that already by next week. But for now, well, we're just seeing a few fair weather clouds floating through the skies over the Bay Area. Nice view from the Mark Hopkins Hotel. Temperatures 50s, 60s, and 70s. The hot spot on the map is, well, warm, 79 degrees still in Concord. Otherwise, mostly in the low 70s. Still 77 degrees in Santa Rosa. 59 degrees in San Francisco, but we did manage to actually hit 60 degrees in the city today for the first time since Sunday. It has been a chilly stretch of weather, and I can't promise that the weekend's going to be all that warm. Let's take a look at the satellite perspective, and we're looking at the coast here and not seeing a whole lot of that marine layer cloud cover right along the coast, at least not right now. It's going to reform later on tonight. Those are the fair weather clouds that we saw from the Mark Hopkins Hotel, just kind of floating through the skies, nothing threatening there. But let's take a look at Futurecast fog simulation. We'll zoom into the local map here and track that fog as we head through the rest of tonight. First, it's going to have to kind of reestablish itself. That's really not going to happen until later this evening. It's going to make somewhat of a push as we head through late tonight and early tomorrow morning, but it's not going to be a huge factor if you're going to be up and about early on Saturday. And what fog there is going to retreat to the coast already by 9 a.m. And I think you'll see the sun breaking through even along the coast by about midday tomorrow. Now, it's not necessarily going to help your temperatures out a whole lot. Coastal highs still a mix of upper 50s and low 60s, 63 degrees in San Francisco. Otherwise, temperatures running pretty close to what's normal for this time of year. Mid to upper 70s and low 80s in the Santa Clara Valley, a mix of 70s and 80s areas east of the Oakland Hills. These temperatures almost identical to where we were today. Mostly 70s around the Bay and a mix of 70s and some 80s for the North Bay, close to 80 degrees again in Santa Rosa, exactly where you topped out today, and into the 80s around Healdsburg. Good dog walking weather for tomorrow. Let's take a look at the dog walking forecast, which is brought to you by the appropriately attired for the month of June. Pearl, I love this. The hat even has little holes for her ears to peek through. Temperatures are going to reach up into the low 70s where she calls home in San Rafael with a mix of clouds and sunshine throughout the day, but the clouds are going to be pretty high up in the atmosphere, just filtering the sunshine, not blocking it entirely. There will still be a noticeable onshore breeze. That's what's going to keep those temperatures close to average, but the strongest gusts are going to be in the 25 to 30 mile an hour range tomorrow and again on Sunday. Pretty typical for the middle of June. Temperatures are going to spike next week. We'll use Livermore as our inland example, but the spike in temperatures only sends even Livermore up to close to 90 degrees. And this is a time of year when your records are well over 100. So we're not going to be seeing anything in terms of extreme heat. And then we drop right back down the other side of the roller coaster, back to a slightly below average temperature pattern by the end of next week. Let's take a look at the full 7-day forecast here, and we'll start inland, where temperatures are going to be a mix of 70s and 80s for the next several days, but then climbing up to almost 90 degrees for some of the hot spots inland on Wednesday, right back down to around 80 degrees a week from today. So what heat we get, it'll be noticeable, but not extreme and not dangerously hot, and it's not going to make its way to locations near the water. Bayside temperatures climb up to the mid-70s for a couple of days. You'll see more sunshine overhead, and the fog is not going to be as much of a factor by Tuesday and Wednesday. And I think even along the coast, you're going to see a lack of fog for a couple of days by Tuesday and Wednesday, with temperatures climbing up, all the way up into the lower half of the 60s. Hey, it counts, and the sunshine will make it feel a little bit warmer than that.
All right.
Yeah.
Just bring a little sweater if you can go to the fair, and you're all good.
It's 78 degrees. I don't think you need quite a sweater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sunscreen, though. That's a good
Okay.
idea.
All right. That too.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And money for food.
Sure.
Okay, when we come back, why the Consulate General of Ireland was handing out books on Muni. We'll let you know why he's celebrating Bloomsday. But first, a look at what's ahead on the CBS Evening News.
The crisis deepens in the Middle East.
What it means for U.S. forces in the region and the cost of gas here at home. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Now you can get your KPIX news, weather, and live stream all in one place on the CBS News app. Download it free today.
Some Muni riders got a surprise today. The Consulate General of Ireland boarded trains to hand out free books to passengers by Irish writers. So it is part of Bloomsday. It celebrates the life and work of Irish writer James Joyce and his groundbreaking novel Ulysses. The books were purchased from Bookship West Portal. It is one of San Francisco's oldest independent bookstores. So the Consulate General spoke about the importance of the giveaway to connect with readers.
We're in the innovation habitat of the world here in San Francisco, in the Bay Area. But I think many people still love the physical feel of a book, the smell of a book, of a new book, of fulfilling that last page when you close the book and go, that was wonderful, or that made me think in some way. And I think handing something to someone is a very personal way of engaging with them, and we're hoping we can do that today.
The literary initiative is sponsored by the Government of Ireland, and we thank them.
So here
CBS Evening News with Maurice Dubois and John Dickerson is next on KPIX. Local news continues on our streaming service, CBS News Bay Area. We're back here in 30 minutes with more news just for you at 7 o'clock. We'll see you then.